Hey, Goba here. With more and more units and kits synergizing with Break Effect and the new Super Break mechanic, it's obvious that Break Effect is going to be pushed quite a lot. So, to prepare for the current Break units and any future ones, today I'll discuss the best light cones to abuse this so-called Break Effect meta. And you might be surprised to see some of these light cones. This doesn't mean follow-up, dot, hypercarrier all irrelevant, it just now means Break has its own place too. So smash that subscribe button with 200% Break Effect, and let's begin. Let's first talk about Break and why it can enable new things for us. I've said in the past, but some units and light cones can be quite weak at base value, but excel in a niche. For example, Passkey is a 3-star light cone that gives energy, but no offensive buffs, and it has very poor base stats. But who needs crit, attack, damage percent buffs when going all in on Break Effect and Super Break? Yes, hybrid Break units want those stats, but not all Break units will, and going full Break on hybrid characters could also be a viable strategy in some cases. Break units scale on Break Effect, speed, actions, and enemy modifiers. They also now have Super Break, which scales on their toughness damage, and any multiplier increases to said toughness damage. So just like crit DPS have crit, attack, and speed, Break DPS have break, break efficiency, and speed. Now, unlike normal damage, Break does not scale off of damage percent, but Super Break with Harmony MC's A2 does have a similar multiplier, but it has a cap. But anyway, let's begin, and starting with 3-star light cones. The fact that some 3-star ones get new life with this Break Effect meta is really exciting to me, as my first ever video on YouTube was on 3-star light cones. Now, I would say Pioneering could be nice for preservation with high toughness damage, but unfortunately all our preservation ideally need the higher base stats of a 4-star or higher cone to properly sustain the endgame in my opinion. Maybe we will get a preservation version of Gallagher in 2.4. My beloved multiplication shines again as more actions means more ults and more toughness damage on some abundance, those being Lewatcher and Gallagher. The other abundance units have no toughness damage anyway. Gallagher specifically really doesn't mind this cone, since his heal multipliers are a flat amount and not based on a stat like attack or HP. Now when spamming basic attack, and remember your first turn in battle isn't affected by multiplication, this light cone is equivalent to a 1.25 times speed buff. And this isn't like speed percent buffs either. Because of how Action Advance works, this will just give you an effective speed multiplier at any speed. Say you have 160 speed on your Gallagher, you will have an effective 200 speed after every turn you basic attack. Adversarial is a speed buffing light cone. During my 3-star light cone revamp video, I actually talked about this cone for Break DPS way back then. On any crit hunt, it's disgustingly bad, you gain no damage boosts and it has weak stats. But consider a Break DPS and this cone kinda becomes godly. Defeating an enemy gives a 2-turn 18% speed buff, and we know how much Break DPS loves speed. More actions to break the next enemy, more actions to abuse Super Break, more speed for example for the Talia set. Sushang notably can use this light cone on a Break build with all of her other crazy speed buffs. There is another free cone for Hunt that is very similar in power for Break that we'll get to in a bit. Now my favorite part of Break being powerful is Passkey being used. I use this cone so much for meme builds, and now it can actually be very viable. 12 extra energy per skill is no joke for erudition units, remember cogs? And getting their high and AoE toughness damage ultimates up much quicker will be crazy powerful for both breaking as well as inflicting Super Break damage. Remember, Super Break works on AoE. I tested this light cone with both Himiko and Serval, and it was so fun. It's also viable for Pure Fiction for the same reasons. Now Fine Fruit can potentially be good as always for min-maxing first turn rotations for lower cycle clears. It can also help free E6 for Harmony MC's ultimate. This can get you a ton of early toughness damage if you get your ult on your unit's first turn, which can abuse the early buffs and instant ult of Harmony MC for a lot of break and super break damage. Talking to 4-star cones, these have much better base stats and usually passives, and can be used for hybrid units without worrying too much. Break focused Nihility units could abuse Tutorial for many more ultimates. Considering death percent reduction is one of the main ways to further increase both break damage variants, pairing this with a Death Shredder and using it to gain a ton of energy for your break carry could be very powerful, much like Passkey. If the unit themselves can also inflict Death Shred, well perfect. And I hope one day this cone will come back for non-1.1 players. Indelible Promise is a very high break effect stat stake for destruction units. Whether you use the crit or not doesn't matter if you're not a hybrid unit, but it's there in case you are. It's a great cone if you got it for padding break stats. What is Real is a free-to-play abundance cone built for Gallagher, and so you can use this instead of multiplication if you like on Gallagher. Excluding him, no other abundance should use it though, except for maybe a funny break launcher build, but again, we have multiplication. Now I bet you didn't have River Flows in Spring being powerful on your bingo card. The speed buff isn't as powerful as Adversarial, so I wouldn't use it if you're confident on your break hunt, but the buff is permanent provided you don't take damage. With the insane amount of delays that breaking provides with Harmony MC, and perhaps Raw May on top, as well as just killing the enemy, you could abuse an unlimited speed buff. Fermata is another break effect static for Nihility Break DPS, but I really like Tutorial if you have it and can use its effect. Quid pro quo on an abundance unit, particularly ones that can't abuse the previously mentioned light cones, can be very nice to supercharge your break DPS with ultimates. You have to do some strategic thinking and speed tuning, but 16 energy is nothing to scoff at. Dance 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 Advance Forward is very powerful for break teams and super break. With Harmony MC also being able to ult every 3 turns at a baseline in MOC, you can get a lot of value out of this light cone. This advance forward can help you reach cycle breakpoints too for quicker MOC clears, and it can help you squeeze in a bunch of bonus actions in Pure Fiction before the end. I think this cone is disgusting for Harmony MC in Pure Fiction, specifically when you consider their talent will give them 1 to 2 turn ultimates. When set on top, and you are absolutely zooming. Subscribe for More is now a banger just kidding, it still sucks. Resolution Shines on Nihility support is very helpful for boosting your damage, as Break and Super Break definitely want those enemy modifiers like Death Shred and Res Reduction. It's a great cone as always. Memories of the Past I don't think we really need to discuss, as we should know how banging this cone is already, without the Break Effect passive thanks to Mesh and Cogs. With the Break Effect on top, you have an insane value cone for Harmony MC. It's also great on Raw May, but if both are in your team, remember Harmony MC can just buff her Break Effect enough that she can just use Cogs now. Now all we have left are 5-star light cones, which are usually built for one niche, and that is the signature character on their art. However, some are still banger. Aventure's light cone is nice for providing vulnerability, so a 1.1 times boost to both break and super break damage. Only Aventurine or March can abuse this, but they also both have high toughness damage if you want to rock them as your break sustain. Raw May's light cone on Raw May of course, as well as Harmony MC, is a nice alternative to Memories of the Past. On these two, you can abuse the skill point generation too, which I quite like for the MC, as they will be skilling quite often for both damage and energy purposes. Incessant Rain is a vulnerability cone just like Aventurine's one, for some break damage amping from your Nihility support. Popping this on a Silver Wolf who is reducing resistances and defense already, you will have some very high super breaks from not only your DPS, but also her with that 90 toughness damage ultimate. Patience is All You Need is very powerful for dodge units, but also for Nihility DPS in general. Now in 2.2, if you're building a Nihility unit for break, that speed is very valuable. But really, I just want to see your hypersonic break Kafkas. Solitary Healing is a slightly better formatter for break effect. If you have a dot on top, it is very powerful for this unit. Outside of break, I don't really like this cone, but those additional RNG energy procs can be very valuable here. Finally, a shout out to my homies Milky Way and Eon if they're watching this video for being nice options for hybrid break units, specifically Shui with Eon. They both give very large attacks and stats and a damage percent buff from breaks, allowing you to dish out damage in any part of your kit. Though all I'll say to Milky Way is be careful, because Passkey is always watching. So that was a rundown on all the useful icons for break supports and DPS, and if I missed any, let me know below. If this video helped, make sure to like and consider subscribing. Thanks to all my amazing YouTube members, thanks for watching, and have a go day.